Okay, so I haven't done one of these in a while. This is my February wrap up. I am back again. I've been reading, as I've been saying. I did some reading slump stuff and I've been on it. So this is Rachel over at Moonlight Library. Oh my god, my cat just jumped on my tripod. This is Rachel over at Moonlight Library. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe. We have excitement like that all the time. So I read 6 books this month. That is pretty good for me because I had not been reading at all. December and January, I basically read 1 book. Let us get into the books I've read though. We're not going to go in order of what I read or when I read it. We're going to go in order of whatever I feel like. Maybe we'll just go backwards. So the most recent book I finished this on Leap Day. Olivia Atwood's Half a Soul. I loved it. It was cute. It's like a Regency fairy tale set in London in the Regency period. It's not too fantasy. It's not like sexy romance. It's more so cute and adorable, and it has a really good romance in it. Like, I actually ship the people, and it also doesn't focus too much on the romance itself. So you have actual plot happening, which I really like when there's actual plot in my romance. We have actual intrigue. There's this girl, her name is Dora, Theodora for short Dora. She has lost half of her soul to this fairy that was promised her entire soul by her mother, but she was saved by her cousin in this incident where she happened to lose half of it to this guy or this fairy. That comes with the fact that she loses her entire or most of her emotions. So she doesn't get scared. She doesn't cry. She's kind of like void. Also, one of her eyes is discolored from this experience, and everyone's just kind of unsettled by her other than her cousin. They end up going to London for the season for her cousin getting married or trying to find a husband. It's good. It's really good. If you like Bridgerton, I feel like this might be up your alley. It's not as steamy as Bridgerton, but it definitely plays on some of that. Yes, I have 2 copies. Actually, I have 3 copies of Annihilation. I'm holding 2 copies because my boyfriend and I read these as like a little book club between the 2 of us. We're going to start reading a book together every once in a while. Like when we are together, we'll read the same book. And so this time we did Annihilation by VanderMeer. I've been meaning to start this series forever. I'm only going to hold up one of them. I've been meaning to hold this book forever. No, I've been meaning to start it forever. It's a sci-fi book. It's very short. It's in a trilogy. The other 2 are a little longer. I haven't gotten to those yet. I ended up giving this one 5 stars. I feel like I should give it 4 stars. Nah, it's a 5-star book. It's a 5-star book. I'm going to talk about my rating system later in another video I just edited, and it should come out this month. We're following this woman. No one has any names, mind you. And it's this group of female scientists that have to go into this area called Area X. There's this zone kind of in New England, I think, where you can't go into it. But there is like one area, and the government's trying to study it. You're getting all of this through the biologist, and she is telling you partially about her experience in Area X studying it, which is like super trippy and weird and just kind of like a puzzle and a maze and paranoia. It's strange. Inner workings of groups, stuff like that. And you are also getting some of her backstory, like what happened with her husband and how she ended up here and who she is in her childhood. It's beautiful. It's beautifully told. It's very easy to get through. It is intriguing, mystifying. I want to say mystifying. So I definitely say give it a read. I didn't say Half a Soul. I gave it 5 stars at first, and then I brought it down to 4 stars because there were a couple things that were a little lacking, and the ending would just kind of like happened. It just happens. Everything's just kind of like, okay, done. One of the best books I have read this year. I listened to the audiobook of Down the Drain by Julia Fox. She's my hero. She is my hero. She is the woman in Uncut Gems that says that she's Josh Safdie's muse in Uncut Gems. And everyone was like making fun of her for this. And I definitely quoted that a lot too. But she is just gold. Her experiences and the way she tells it is... Her experiences are crazy. Her life is insane. She's only like 35 or something at this point right now, or 36, something around there. And she's already writing a memoir, which is kind of crazy, but she fills every page. There's constantly something happening. It makes sense. I'm like, if you wrote a memoir later in life, couldn't imagine. It'd be the longest thing in the world. Oh my God, the cats are playing. It's just so good. It is her story of her family, her story of addiction, her story of friendship and work. She was like a dominatrix. She did all sorts of things that are just wildly insane and had all these experiences. And she is such a strong person for coming out of it, who she is. And the way she tells it is just, you feel like a friend is sitting you down and telling you it. And she says these things so almost matter-of-factly about her life. You feel privy to her secrets. And I love it. Anyways, I'm thinking about doing an audiobook recommendations, and I want to do one just for nonfiction and one for fiction, so probably going to do that soon too. Then I read Solutions and Other Problems by Allie Brash. Good as it could always be. Good as it can always be. The person from Hyperbole and a Half that used to be like a web comic, partially comic things and then also narrative, and it's about her life, and she has this little cartoon that represents her. This one is once again always her childhood, her depression, her divorce, her going through a very horrifying illness, her family, death, grief, but it's presented in a way where you're crying and you're laughing. It's beautiful. I really appreciate her. Next up, we have The Vaster Wilds by Lauren Groff. I read this one for a book club. I enjoyed it enough. The whole thing, there's like barely any dialogue throughout the entire book. And we're following this girl who is escaping or running away from the law, basically. Like she has a bounty hunter on her. It's like colonial times. It's not colonial England, but it's around that time. And she is in the woods the whole time. There's some like her thinking back to things that have happened to her, but the dialogue barely ever happens. It's interesting. It's a survival narrative, which I sometimes enjoy, but this one, I just don't think it was fully for me. I ended up giving it 3 stars. Next up, we have Cages by Dave McKean. This is a graphic novel. Dave McKean does the covers for Neil Gaiman's Sandman series graphic novel. And so I was like, let's check out what his graphic novel's like. It's very reminiscent of Sandman, and it is about time, the universe, and meaning, and just all sorts of stuff. We're following a number of different narratives that kind of all come together about this one apartment in New York. I'm assuming it's something like New York. And so you have like a painter, a novelist, and a musician. The way like what their experiences are, and it is very like out of this world. It's interesting. It's very long, but it is interesting. I did enjoy it. So those are the 6 books I read this month. Hopefully I read more next month. I think I'm going to do a TBR for spring next video. I'm just telling you all the videos I plan on doing. Anyways, my TBR for spring, next video I'll come out with is probably going to also include like my plans for the channel and what I'm working on and stuff like that. Because I have been a good girl recently. That's a weird thing to say, but I have been good and I have been putting out more content. So good job me. I'm reading too. I'm back. It's me. I'm back. Love you. Bye.